So let us start with your page. The first thing is notice that I have a nice background over here. Now notice that this background, this photograph itself actually contains a message. And that is very important. That background that you pick must contain a message. What is the brand that you're trying to promote? Without even looking at any of the content, you should be able to guess that this guy is probably a public speaker and probably speaks to a large audiences, because that's a pretty big audience over there. And that's a fancy looking hotel, fancy looking stage. As a matter of fact, he's so far away that you can't barely see him on the stage, right? A professional photograph. You don't want unprofessional looking photographs. I would not recommend having dogs or cats unless that is your business. Every section of this profile has a purpose. Notice this tagline. Tagline has to do with what is the key message that you want people to know about you. Usually it should be some accomplishment that should be noted. So for example, in my case, one of the biggest projects I've ever done is this $117 million online cybersecurity degree program that I established at a university. So that, again, without saying anything or doing anything, it actually conveys a huge message. So this is all about messaging, very powerful messaging in a very efficient way. You then want to, if you are open to job opportunities, you want to make sure that you have that filled out to the things that you really want to do. Then comes the about section. This is where personal branding comes in big time. And my recommendation is look at your about section every now and then, because you will change it every now and then. I have changed it multiple times, because that's the other beautiful thing about social media or business media and things like that. You can change it anytime you want. So you are free to experiment. Sometimes you won't like what you did, and your audience, your close connections, they're going to tell you how you're doing. As a matter of fact, part of the reason that I kept this one going for so long is because as soon as I put this up, several trusted members of my community immediately said, "Hey, Dr. Aziz, that's a great tagline." Aha, that is important feedback. So you want to be guided by your trusted people. All right, let's go to the about section. This is not an online resume. I would not recommend using third person here. So one of the things I've noticed in many weaker social media profiles is that they're in the third person. Well, do you ever go up to somebody and say, Nelson Nichols does this? No, you say, hello, I am Nelson and I do this. Hello, I'm Jill and I do this. Well, that's the way this message needs to be. I help universities modernize education. So first sentence is usually very powerful, right? So that first sentence must draw people to your brand. Make it a story-oriented, if at all possible. Sometimes it can be how you started. So for the longest time, I used to have a story about when I was 8 years old and I was sharing my knowledge with people and helping my friends succeed. And I felt like sharing knowledge is the essence of leadership. And I talked about how that brand of leadership grew from that time. So you can do that. And then anything that you've done, any accomplishments and stuff like that, and then draw attention to your website. You also want to have these featured section. These are important videos or important content where people would go in there and hopefully they would be amazed. Maybe it's a YouTube video. It doesn't matter what it is, but hopefully if you've done these things, then that can be highlighted. Now, let's go into the experience section. If you are a speaker, I would recommend having speaker as a role right there. This particular role, having that role will also start to promote your personal brand compared to any other corporate brand that you might have. So for example, right now, I am a professor and a chair at a university. Well, do I want to really promote that, or do I really want to promote my own personal brand? In today's world, no job is there for a lifetime. So always promote your own personal brand compared to any other job role that you have. All the job roles should be subservient to your own personal brand. In other words, your personal brand needs to be stronger than the corporate brand, because in general, nobody really cares about corporations anymore. Okay? And that's because because of the culture of layoffs that we've seen over the last 40 years, brands of corporations are in a huge decline right now. And so you want to be where this brand of all the institutions that you might be affiliated with should be subservient to your own brand. What does that also do to your value to the company? Your value to the company will be that you represent more value to the company because you draw students, you draw whatever your product may be. So let us say we're selling education. Well, actually, this already happened. I joined Stevenson University in January of 2020. Hardly anybody actually knew that Stevenson University had a cybersecurity or information systems program. But the moment I joined and I lent my brand to it, boom, all of a sudden we start getting inquiries and enrollment. This actually went up, and not only in the cybersecurity area, enrollment actually went up in every area, because when you start promoting a particular brand, it promotes every aspect of that particular brand. Same thing here. When I was with the University of Maryland Global Campus, I started with only 3,000 students, but I grew to 4,641 students in roughly about 3 years. Again, through brand promotion and some of the things that I did.